Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Trailblazers Podcast, where we get the special privilege of hosting Leon Leinbach, the founder of KEYSTONE Construction, Blue Jay Garage Doors, and Big Bertha Metals. Leon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
Absolutely. Could you tell us a little about yourself, share a bit of your personal journey, and what ultimately led you to creating your companies?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm a farm kid, raised on a dairy farm. This goes back, early late '90s or in the '90s, and I grew up, around construction as well. My dad built buildings on the farm and did some side construction work. Was fairly independent and really drove us to do that as well. So I have an 8th grade education. And so when I got out of school at age 14, I just, started working on the farm with my dad. And then from there, went into the construction field at age 16. And pretty soon I was their foreman due just to the vast amount of experience I had, I guess, and just willing to get after it. So needless to say, after doing that for about 2 or 3 years, I just decided I can do this myself as well. Started my own construction company at age 19. And then we continued growing that. Hadn't really thought I'd be in it for very long, but figured out I like the game of business. So I stuck around and continued growing that. It wasn't easy. Couple of times about went bankrupt, didn't know how to grow a team. So it was very challenging. And then as far as Blue Jay Garage Doors goes, that came several years later with my business partner. We founded that out of some needs we had in KEYSTONE Construction. And then just as of late, within this last year, we started Big Bertha Metals.
Wow. Yeah, so maybe highlighting on Blue Jay Garage Doors, could you maybe walk us through a little more of like the aha moment that made you decide to start that company when you already had a successful company with Keystone?
Yeah, it was really simple for us. It was simply we couldn't find real good garage door technicians and installers in our area. So we just decided, we'll just go ahead and start our own and start growing that. So it was just like, hey, we want this and we want good service, so we just build it ourselves.
Absolutely. And maybe walk us through some of those services Blue Jay provides. Like, what does a typical customer engagement look like from, say, the first phone call to a completed job?
Yeah, so typically, there's two different types of customers that we have, essentially. One that has a broken garage door or a garage door that's not working right, and they call us and book a technician to come out, usually in a 2 hours time slot. The technician will come out, do a 29-point safety inspection over the whole door, give them feedback on what their door, how good a shape it is, what they would recommend to fix it or replace or whatever, give them all kinds of options there. And then the customer can just decide from there what to do. The other client that we have is somebody that's just looking to add curb appeal to their home, or is upgrading their home, or is redoing their home on the outside, right? And they want a newer looking door or a better looking garage door, and we can just replace that garage door for them.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And with that, like, what would you say is maybe your day-to-day operations and biggest struggle you have with getting those clients to scale Blue Jay?
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle for us right now is just finding enough leads, probably. We have the sales processes and the systems down pretty good for helping the clients and understanding the needs. Like we get a lot of, I say a lot, pretty much, if you look on our Google business profile, pretty much 99.9% of our Google reviews are all 5 stars. So we're making customers happy, I think. It's a true sign for it. So I think that's the biggest one for us. is just getting known in the newer markets that we're in. It's been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, and like maybe walk us through like what like typical markets, like why should someone choose your company compared to say another garage door installer?
Mm-hmm.
Like what puts you apart from them?
Sure. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that sets us apart is we're not trying to push you to buy one thing or another. We're really trying to give you options and trying to educate you on your garage door and help you understand, like, hey, here's the garage door that you got. Here's the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And so educating them and just being there as a consultant to help them make the best decision for where they're at in their life. Because if your decision is going to be different based on if you're planning to stay there in that home for 20 years versus, hey, I just want to sell this home the next year or two. I just want it working or whatever. Those are two very different decisions typically. So it's understanding that and caring about the client. So I think for Blue Jay Garage Door, that's the major difference that we have, is we try to focus on helping the customer for where they're at and meet them where they're at.
Absolutely. And what would you say is a common misconception people would have about the services in your industry that you typically have to deal with?
A lot of times what we end up dealing with is that people misunderstand is there's a couple. One is in our industry, it's been very common that people would charge to even show up, and we don't charge to show up. Like we book a 2-hour slot with you. We don't charge to come out and give you a full inspection. Now, if there's any work done, we give you all the options and you choose what work you want done, and that is priced on site. Say probably the second one that is the most misconception is that, hey, garage doors are just simple. I can fix it myself. And we have had a lot of people get hurt because they try to fix it themselves, because they can be a dangerous piece. It's the biggest moving wall of your house, right? So they're pretty dangerous if you don't know what you're doing with them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And with this incredible service you provide, how are you planning on evolving, and where are you trying to expand into new territories or change your business model?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I mean, we're continuing to lean into the service side, because at the end of the day, everybody can sell a garage door, but leaning into really serving each one and everybody that we come in contact is what we focus on, number one. And then as far as going into other markets, we're growing into the Nashville, Tennessee market right now from Clarksville, Tennessee. So from there, I'm not sure exactly which town we'll go to. We've got about 7 different ones picked out, but we'll see which ones we go to first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And with this incredible service you provide to your customers, could you maybe tell us a time or a story about a customer who's really struggling or maybe a little nervous about, taking that step, and how did you get them through and provide an excellent service to them?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have one just off the top of my mind of a specific client, but I can tell you from experience and from what our different technicians have stories they've told us, that typically when we get a time slot on the calendar booked and we meet them at their house and go over the garage doors, at that point, pretty much all those fears go away, right? There's still some struggles a little bit to where they're like, hey, I want a price check around, or I want a price shop, right? I want to be able to compare it. And that's fair. Like, look, if you want to do that, it's fair. However, we're not the cheapest out there, and we're not the most expensive. We're usually somewhere in the middle. And we tell them that up front. That's what we try to do. We try to create a fair price for the service that we provide and do it with speed and quality. And you can't get good service and quality with cheap. Got to pick one of the three, right? Or I mean, two of the three: cheap, good, or fast. Which one do which are the two, or do you want? So it's we're never going to be cheap, and we just tell them that up front. And so typically that will eliminate somebody that's just going for the cheapest out there, and we don't win them all. It definitely is a game of numbers when it comes to that, but everyone that we do serve, just definitely loves us.
No, yeah, certainly. And, you've had so much success with your other companies. So could you maybe walk us through, how do you define success for your company outside of just revenue and growth numbers?
An awesome, happy team. A team that loves to be there and loves to help continue grow the vision. So one thing I've learned here several years ago is you have to have a vision that is big enough for everyone else in your team to fit inside of. Meaning people want to be a part of something greater than themselves. And when we are a part of something greater than themselves, we're adding value to that, right? We care about it. And so as long as I see that our team is growing, enjoying what they do, and that the company is growing overall, that to me is success. We're helping people go to the next level of themselves. And that doesn't mean that they'll always work with us even. Maybe they'll work with us for 5 years and then they transition on to doing their own thing or their own business or to a job that they ultimately wanted. And that's good. Like, we help them with the groundwork of becoming the person they needed to become so they could go attain what they really want to attain. So to me, it's all about helping people through that journey, and it's not all about us. It's about we as a group.
Certainly. And how do you get the people in your company to really see your vision? And how do you create this environment where they feel valued and respected? How do you, as kind of the owner and all that, create that positive environment for your team?
Number one is you have to have the right leaders. And that may sound cliche, but it's true. If you don't have the right leaders championing the cause, it's never going to work. I can't put a vision through people that don't get excited about it, for one, or that care to be a part of that. So it has to be leaders and people that care about the vision. And so it starts with hiring the right people that care about that vision. And then having weekly meetings. We have weekly all hands on meetings to where we talk about the vision, the culture, the core values of the company. And there's times we adjust those a little bit, but as a whole, we pretty much stick to what we have on those. And it's through consistency. It's built through. And once you do that consistently long enough, it compounds. Just like investing, it's a compounding effect eventually.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And, as being the captain, you're making the tough decisions. Could you maybe share a story where you did have to make a really tough decision for the good of the company's future?
Thinking here which one I want to choose from. There's definitely several. Yeah, there was a time here a while back when we were financially really struggling, and I had really struggled with hiring the right team members. And I basically, a lot of good people working with me at that point, and I went in the company and I think I fired 8 people that morning, and basically just went in there and restructured the team, because I knew if I didn't, we probably, we might not live to see another day. Simply, you have to make those really tough decisions that you never want to do. And those things led me, taught me tough lessons of how to not get myself into situations like that ever again. And letting go of people sooner. So yeah, going through that, letting a bunch of people go, restructuring the company, restructuring the teams, that's you create a lot of havoc So there's a lot of intensity that has to go in through those following days, weeks, and even month. It really took about a year to really get traction back to where we needed it because of that, because it can really upset the whole team, because our team was only like 16 people at the time, and I went in and let about half of them go. So when you cut half, there's some very dramatic shifts that can happen. And it creates uncertainty, unrest, and so it's a really tough time to go through, but it's very necessary if you want a good functioning team, a high functioning team and culture.
I guess like taking a few steps back, where like did you see the need to cut this? Like what was the initial purpose? And then how did you keep the people you did not let go? How did you get them to accept the vision and kind of keep working with you? Like how did you convince them in that regards?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody that stayed knew something had to happen, right? Oftentimes, people instinctively know. The people that don't get it and don't care enough about the vision, those are the ones that you got to let go. So it's usually a pretty, not always, but 90% of the time, it's a pretty clear-cut line of how to let go of people. Now, I can say that from experience. Now, if I would have, trying to say this before I had experience, I would have not known where to draw that line or understand it. But once you've done it once, you sort of can see it oftentimes. And usually it's also through performance, right? A lot of those same team members weren't performing. They either weren't performing or they might have been good performers but were bad team players. So by default, they were B and C players, right? And the only way you can create good cohesive teams if you have all A players or B players that are working towards becoming an A player or humble enough to become that.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, the secret ingredient. You have many successful companies. So I guess having that experience, like you say, is the key for sure. And as we start to finish up our podcast, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience that we may have missed, along with, is there any exciting news you'd like to share?
I think that I think the biggest thing is, look, if you're building a company and teams, the biggest thing is you need to focus on creating a vision big enough and something that people care about. And so if you look at that, think about how you can get more people to help you build that vision that you care about and bring them along for the ride. It's people want to be a part of something greater than themselves. And that's, if you can keep that in the front of everything else that you're doing, you will be successful.
Mm-hmm. And where can people find your work and stay updated on your company's projects and progress?
You can go to leonleinbach.com, and there's a list of all my companies listed there. And you can go to the individual websites, or you can find us on Instagram under Leon Leinbach, or LinkedIn, Leon Leinbach.
Okay, absolutely. I'll be sure to include all those in the subscripts. And with that, everyone, thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Leon, for coming on to the show.